This podcast is proud to be sponsored by Tuvu. Tuvu connects people, families, and communities on their values-based social media platform. There's no ads, no explicit content, just fun. Check it out at tuvu.com. The American way of life is under attack. This affects businesses as well as individuals. Well, today, businessman Tom Sodeika, who is one of our advisory board members, joins us to talk about the pressures that the patriotic businesses are facing. He'll explain how progressive policies are smothering American businesses and literally destroying their culture. Stay with us.
You know, I've never really felt comfortable sharing pictures of my kids on social media. Then I found Tuvu, a premium social app with an actual, authentic community. No bots, no one trolling me or my family. Just clean, wholesome content you can trust.
Welcome to the Moms for America podcast. Each week, special guests tackle the issues facing the moms of America today. Discussions include personal stories and advice on how moms can build a strong foundation of faith, family, and freedom in their homes and country. Hi, I'm Debbie Kurlitis, your host. I am so glad that you are joining us again this week. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Right here at the top of the show, I do want to invite you to like, subscribe, and share our podcast. They do try to censor us, so please go ahead and share this podcast and all of our other podcasts. By the way, we have an incredible library online with your mama friends. We've got incredible information for you as a mom. Also here at the top of the show, if you have not joined the movement here at Moms for America, join us. We are about 500,000 moms strong all across the country, coast to coast. We are moms uniting. We're fighting for truth, family, freedom, our faith, and our Constitution. We love America. We love our kids. We love our family. And we are all on this mission to save our country because we know that our children's future are at risk. So please join us at momsforamerica.us. Check out all of our incredible resources. They are all there for you, moms. Also, if you have an idea or a topic or any feedback, you can go ahead and email me at podcast@momsforamerica.net. I would love to hear from you, moms. Alrighty, on to today's program. Tom Sodeika is the founder and the CEO of Freedom Square. This digital commonwealth is for freedom-loving Americans, just like you and I. It's a digital home to access news and information and podcasts, which you are a part of. It's also a business network and a resource center that is rich in American history. Tom has recently launched the Freedom Chamber, which is a pro-American business network. He's here to talk with us about everything relating to business. All righty. Well, we've got Tom Sodeika in the house here at the Moms for America podcast. Welcome, Tom.
Thank you, Debbie. So good to be here with you. It's always good to be with Moms for America.
Oh, thanks. You're a fan of Moms for America. We're a fan of yours. It just happens that you're on our advisory board, so you got to say good things about us. I love that.
Oh, I do too, and it's such an honor when you and Kimberly had asked me to serve, and it truly is an honor. And
Yeah.
what you're doing, what your organization is doing, what is done, what it has accomplished, and what it needs to really accomplish now, especially in light of this weekend and the Title IX rulings and a number of other just really unbelievable decisions and policies being put into place. The challenge is upon all of us to try and bring back some normalcy back to humanity.
Right. It is just absolutely out of control. I know we talk about a lot when we're together, you and the guys from Freedom Square. So let's talk a little bit about you, though, too. You're a dad.
Yes.
You're passionate about all of this because you understand the importance of our future because you have kids or grandkids. Tell us about your family.
So I have one beautiful, fantastic daughter. She's a single child. So growing up, she is a beautiful young lady, but she can also throw a 40-yard spiral with a football. She made it to super sectionals and three-point shootouts. And she's a good,
Wow.
a good little athlete, and she's a very good golfer, and so we've got the golfing together. And I've been married for I'm in my 35th year, 35 years of
Congratulations.
marriage, which is unusual these days. But what's interesting in my circle of friends and family and so forth, it seems to be a common thread,
Yeah,
um, which is a good thing.
it is. Yeah.
Um,
I'm 30 years this year too. So, I mean, for all of us that have hung in there and, honored our spouses and our marriage and tried to hold onto our families, it's tough in this culture.
it is this culture is does not seem to be moored to any principles.
Right.
It just seems to be, throw caution to the wind and then just do what feels good or feels right, which is kind of a little bit of what they used to say in the 60s.
Yeah.
But now we've got the people who were doing all that screaming and shouting and fighting and with the police are they're the ones in power now, and they're actually on the same side as the people hitting the streets. And so that's why we're in a very dangerous place in America.
Yeah, we sure are. I want to talk about why you moved out of you longtime business owner yourself. So when we talk about business today, it's because you have a passion for this because you owned your own business for a long time. Tell us about a little bit about your history and the in the professional world before you decided to take on this endeavor.
Yeah, I it's funny, many years ago back in the 80s, I like a lot of other young guys coming out of college, got attracted to sell copiers. And I was walking into places, I was tearing my suits. I'm like, this is not fun. And I cold called a place that was a headhunter. And they were actually, I asked if they needed a new copier. They said no. They asked if I needed a new job. And I said, what do you got? And that's how I got into the payroll industry.
Wow, what a
Started off
break, huh?
started off in sales there, and got to be the sort of the operational liaison for the sales team to help improve communications internally within the company. And then we were bought by one of the giants, and I did not want to continue with them, so I partnered with a couple of guys to start another payroll company, and we ended up selling the CNA insurance back in the 90s.
Hmm.
And then I took a break for a couple of years and ended up back in the payroll industry and acquiring a small business and then growing it to a good mid-size national payroll provider. We really helped small mid-sized companies with payroll, taxes, HR consulting, and HR
Hmm.
services.
Yeah.
And it was a very fulfilling career. Part of the aspect of entrepreneurship. Yes, there's a lot of risk, but there's a tremendous multi-factor payoff from the standpoint that you help people get careers and guide them along. And if you've got an appreciative workforce, that's a blessing.
Hmm.
Having happy clients, is a blessing. And then becoming attractive enough in the marketplace to where somebody wants to acquire what you built. And that's what happened to me in January of 2020.
Wow.
And we sold the business and
That
said,
was it then.
and we're like, all right, let's travel the world. COVID hit.
Oh, right. As soon as things like that happen, of course, there's always this incredible timing that wasn't good for that situation. But because of COVID hitting, and really, um, I guess you looked at this world a little bit differently, like all of us did with COVID. So you
I
decided
did.
to start a business and go down a new venture. But before we go to that, Tom, obviously you've just shared about your whole your resume, which is very impressive. How hard is it today in today's economy to start a business like you did, or to maintain a business, or there's so many challenges now from the pressures of the culture to the economy. How hard is it now? This is different than what you started, obviously.
Yes. And when we started off, in the early 90s in ownership and even into the early 2000s, we dealt with, navigated, and managed about this much of regulatory burden,
Mm,
um, overhead expense. And then there was an explosion in the regulatory environment after
yes.
Obama came into office, and in particular in the area of Obamacare. When that finally came through, the amount of additional reporting and record keeping that was required, not only for the doctor's offices and the hospitals
Mm-hmm.
and that, but also each employer at a certain size, above 50 employees, had to report this horribly confusing,
Right.
illogical matrix of a report, and people would know when they would get their annual statement that would show their little yes in January, yes, 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 yes for the type of coverage and all that. Well, that was managed by the payroll companies, and
Ah, what
we
a
ended up
nightmare. What a
the
nightmare.
yes, and we had worked with the IRS and trying to understand because they would release rules. 3 months later, rules were changed. And so finally, we decided that, you know what, let us pick one certain methodology for figuring out variable hours, not to get too technical and put people to sleep. But we said, let's stick with with this methodology, and we're just going to be consistent throughout. And we had checked back with some folks at the IRS, and they said that's a very good protocol. Go ahead, go ahead with that. That's defendable. So, as a third party provider, we did not want to put ourselves at risk, or certainly put our clients at risk,
Sure.
since they had hired us to help them. So, all that blah blah to say that the regulatory burden,
Regulatory, yeah.
the tax burden, many of
Mm-hmm.
the states have gotten very expensive and have required additional reporting for sole proprietors,
Mm-hmm.
LLCs, for people to incorporate. And so we saw probably an explosion of about 150% in the regulatory burden environment, which is,
150% in
yeah,
new regulate. I mean, this is crippling,
it is
literally.
crippling. And that's why, people look back at the Trump 4 years, why they were so impactful and so positive to small, mid-sized businesses and the lowest wage earners, who saw the greatest increase in income in
Mm-hmm.
probably 35 years or so, is that they really cut back on the regulatory environment.
Right.
That that freed up capital and actually cash flow to be able to pay employees, pay employee bonuses,
Mm-hmm.
um, and then the tax cut on top of that
Mm-hmm.
really improved things. But we had 4 years of that, and now
Mm-hmm.
we have just completely,
Right.
it went into reverse, and we're accelerating in the
Right.
decline in the environment, both for healthy business, for healthy education, for
Right.
healthy entertainment. Every pillar of society is
Right.
now has been so negatively impacted, and I would submit by design.
Right. Yeah. Setting everyone up to fail, which is, just so unfortunate to say that. But even just the fact that minimum wage went up so high here in Illinois, we're in Illinois, the economy is broken. Clearly, everything takes 5 times more than it did for any to buy, purchase, or facilitate anything.
Yeah,
And then, right, the businesses after COVID, I don't even know what the final stat was and how many small businesses never survived that.
yeah. So you see this shirt I'm wearing?
Yeah.
What it's
You
called?
are a rebel, anyways.
It's called Rebel Diners.
Yeah. Oh, tell them this story. This is a great story.
So, of course, we have Governor Pritzker here in the great state of Illinois. The man who broke his femur just standing at the state fair. It tells you how he's got some issues, but he really took it out on American small business. I mean, we had our churches had to shut down.
Right.
Our and I mean everything went for that 15 days to slow the spread.
Yeah.
But then
3 years or something. Yeah.
yeah, and then the states came out, and it started having such an impact on the education environment and so forth. But they, after they did the slow the spread, they put in some mandates for restaurants to be able to continue. They had to provide outdoor seating,
Mm-hmm.
or if they were indoor, they had to keep certain amount of distances. So all these restaurants invest money in plexiglass. I mean, how many booths did we
Right.
sit in with the plexiglass between us? Everybody's buying cleaning supplies and stronger
Tents.
supplies,
Remember all the tents?
tents,
Yes.
tents, sheds, table. So the businesses lay all
Yeah.
that money out to try and keep going. And in October, Pritzker shuts the restaurants down.
Yeah. You sure
And
did.
and there were a number of restaurants that said, no, we're not
Mhm.
closing. And one of our favorites, where we did our first Rebel Diner outing, was at Kai's Seafood and Steakhouse on North Avenue in Glendale Heights. And they put a big sign up that said, we're Americans. We're not
Yeah.
closing. And so our first group was 12 friends and business clients and associates. And we ended up, I think our bill was maybe $350 and we tipped $450.
I know. You
And
guys
the
were
owner,
great.
the
Mhm.
owner came out in tears and pouring shots for everybody. And the the waiter, the server, he was such a great guy, Tony. I mean, former military,
Mm.
tough guy, was just so grateful. And we said we've got something here. So every Tuesday we went around the Chicagoland area
You sure
and
did.
we maxed out at around 44 people at a luncheon and we were delivering tips of 17 to $1,800
Right. To keep these businesses going
to
and inspire them.
keep them
Yeah.
going. And sadly, through that whole shutdown, and Illinois was brutal, California
Brutal.
was brutal, New York was brutal, DC, um, I think about 37% of our restaurants closed.
Yeah.
And sadly,
Sure
three of
did.
our Rebel Diners didn't make it because once you came out of the COVID, you had the supply shortage, you had the supply chain issues,
Yeah.
and people were shrinking their menus. They were trying to do everything to stay in business, and
Yeah.
to no
Just,
avail, sadly.
yeah. Yeah, so many people, so many small businesses, really. The big boxes did okay because they were
Yeah.
able to stay open, but the
Yep.
small businesses had all these regulations. It was absolutely insanity. Thanks for that Rebel Diner reminder, though, because that is it. I love that story because that's us as citizens, as patriotic friends and family, just getting around and saying these are people
Yeah.
that love God, love country, and actually just want to serve and keep their business alive. So let's talk about this too before we get into, because I want to talk about how what Freedom Square is doing now, and Freedom Chamber, the woke situation in businesses. I mean, we're talking about parallel societies. That's where we're going to go, a little bit further down in this conversation. But everything has gotten so woke. One, we as a consumer have to figure out where we're spending our money, number one. But
Yes.
number two, to your point, to talking about businesses, to talking about the professional industry, whatever it may be, from payroll to restaurants, they're dealing with a woke culture that is forcing them to maybe do or adopt things that maybe are against what they want to do or they don't find necessary. Like that's not a part of having a restaurant, or that's not a part of, pushing LGBTQ plus, is not a part of, designing clothes. I mean, this has now
Right.
become in every facet of business. What about those pressures for small businesses? And I guess just the businesses in general, if they don't agree, what about HR? What about all this stuff that comes their way?
It's yeah, and it's become um very dangerous for small to mid-sized companies. We see what happens with cancel culture.
Mm-hmm.
What they try to do, a great example is Elon Musk.
Right.
Um, there's my gosh, there's so many companies that remember Chick-fil-A. When Chick-fil-A had sort of spoke out, and I think the founder had mentioned something about two genders, or marriage is between a man or a woman, and they just went after these
Yeah,
stores.
they sure did.
And but fortunately, the people on the good side rallied, and they had like record days on that one Wednesday when it was supposed to be a big boycott. They ended up having their best days ever at their various restaurants across the country. So that is happening, and somebody like Chick-fil-A, large enough, can endure that. But if you have a small pizza shop or a cigar shop or
Mm-hmm.
somebody else, that word gets out. I'll give you a very good example that happened just locally, and we actually had to fire up Rebel Diners as a result and pulled our shirts out. Kind of a cool story too. I stopped at a pizzeria that we hit 3 years ago. And this was last month, and the owner is wearing his Rebel Diner shirt.
Oh, come
And
on.
he
That's
was
too
so
funny.
happy. But anyway, do you remember that story in Naperville? There was a
Yes.
councilman who said, "Hey, listen, if you guys want to house the illegals, I've got a sign-up sheet." It was said in jest.
Uh-huh.
Sign up to house illegals in your home.
Yes. Tell him this story. This is incredible.
They got so upset, and they found out that the councilman's son
Son.
worked part-time at a pancake house in Naperville. And people went in there and were shouting at him. They were challenging him. They were telling him they're going to boycott. They created some very unpleasant situations. And we got word of that. And we went in there, and Chuck did a live feed like, we are here at the Pancake House, and Rebel Diners reactivate. And we started getting stories, people just coming in, and they would sign the receipt, Rebel Diners were here. And we
Uh,
showered the servers with cash and gave them
yeah.
great support. And I think they're going to be able to bounce back. And I
I mean,
think
look at
what
these bullies. That's just bullying, isn't it? I
it
mean,
is
come on.
bullying. It is bullying. And the one thing we learned growing up, when you stand up to a bully, you're likely not going to have to worry about that bully again.
Hmm.
And that's what we need to do,
Yeah. I
frankly.
love
And
that.
that's
I love that.
and that's why we're unifying, and why we started Freedom Square. Freedom Square is
Yeah,
a web.
tell us about Freedom Square. Let everybody
Yeah.
know all about it.
Well, Freedom Square is a web portal. We saw what happened with Parler. We see what has happened to, like, it used to be you can go to Yahoo News and kind of get a decent amount of news, or you go to Drudge and you'd get, oh, here's some unique perspectives on a particular news story. But everybody's gone into a complete propaganda mode, shut down any what I call objective news reporting. Everything has
Mm.
become narrative based, which has become so
True.
dangerous
Yeah.
because we have people making life or death policy decisions based on narrative, not based on objective facts. Case in point, COVID, the
Yeah,
vaccine.
for sure.
Um,
Right.
the examples after examples. So I'm having one of those vapor lock moments in my brain. What were we talking about?
Tom, you
I'm
are
getting
so
old.
funny.
Is
No,
there is there a Moms for
we're
America seniors division?
no, you are so funny. We're talking about Freedom Square and what it is.
Oh, thank
You
you.
should be able to tell us what that is since you're the CEO.
I know. I dream about it. I sleep. I mean, it's crazy. Thank you. So seeing all this cancel going on, I said we need to have a portal where people can get some great news, great podcasts, great resources, and also a business directory of pro-American companies. So we started Freedom Square. We launched it last March, and have had very good success, great
Mhm.
traction. We've got Mom's podcasts on there.
We do.
It's a great platform to find new podcasters because we've got, I think, about 155 on there. Where if you go to Apple or Spotify, you don't always have the best access, maybe with search algorithms or whatnot, to find good conservative voices from young and old. But we scrape 25 different news sites and provide a wide perspective of news. And people will say, yeah, but it's all coming from the right. But I would say, if you look at news from Breitbart or Daily Caller or Daily Wire or Epoch Times or Town Hall, what you find that it's still principally based in intellectual objectivity. Because if a Republican is
Mm.
caught fooling around with a kid, they're called to the carpet.
Exactly.
If they make a policy error, or they are
Oh
called
yeah,
to the carpet.
they sure are. They're exposed like right now. I mean, he's talking about Mike Johnson or the speaker. I mean, it's not that they don't talk about the right or the conservatives or the Republicans. They talk about them a lot, and I think that's what we want to do. We want to know what's happening all around, not just the bad guys, not just the good guys, the guys in the middle, right? What's
Yes,
happening with everything?
right. And now we've got, and another good case as it relates to news is this Reed case in Chicago, where the media has been carrying it, trying to make it another Ferguson or another Minneapolis situation, when in fact, the young man resisted arrest, pulled a gun, and began firing at the police officers, emptied his clip and then they shot. The policemen retaliated and protected themselves and shot and killed them. But the way the media is carrying it, the family now just filed a federal
Mm,
civil suit. I think yesterday or the day before. They're trying to pass it off as just another innocent guy, an innocent black man killed by police, and that's nowhere near the truth. And
yeah,
it's that type of story and that sort of narrative formula that puts people's lives in danger.
it does, and it's not true reporting. I mean, we really want to know the whole story. If you're going to tell us the story, tell us the whole story,
Right.
clearly.
And I'll
So,
tell you, growing up, I'm a first generation American, as you know, where you're married to a Lithuanian. My
yeah,
parents and grandparents escaped Lithuania in 1944 to get away from the Soviets, because they were bad news for various reasons. Both families were targets and needed to leave the country, and then they were in displaced persons camps for 5 years, awaiting an invitation to America, where the men would adult males would have work opportunities. The family would pass health screening, and they also
mm,
needed sponsorship, somebody that would be, responsible for, guiding them into assimilation into the country. So, as growing up, my grandparents and parents taught me much about the Soviet system and tyranny, and so I've had this little antenna,
yeah.
and
Well,
then seeing,
they taught you their story. They taught
yeah,
you the truth.
yeah, they would have after they left, they're talking back with family, but they would have neighbors would be telling the authorities that somebody was having a priest over and they were holding mass in their home, because of course they took the churches over, turned them into uh, government buildings,
Government
took
or yeah,
crosses down, um, and
unreal.
they started telling on each other and snitching on them, and
Yeah,
then of course they had the secret police. And what do we have going on now? We had um, Mayor
yeah,
Beetlejuice during COVID say, excuse me, say, if you see more than
right,
six people at your neighbor's house, call 311 and report them. What?
right. If people gather for Thanksgiving, if people go for Christmas, tell on them.
Yes.
Oh, what a culture, divisive culture that they were really trying to create. And they did a very good job creating it. But a lot of us just had to really push back and stand our
And
ground.
and you know what? The people doing it is maybe 20%.
Hmm.
The other problem is that there's another 20% that have been lulled into a
Right.
go along to get along.
Yeah.
And our side, what we're responsible for is saying, no, this is antithetical to the human soul. This is antithetical to the human experience, and
Yeah.
we're going to fight. And that's what that was sort of the embers that brought about Freedom Square and have brought forward Freedom Chamber, is to say that we need to put a stake in the ground, and the stake of
Hmm.
the ground is the gift that God gave this nation, the world, with to form a more perfect union, which means
Yeah.
a work
That's
in
right.
progress. you know um that this is what we have to defend, because otherwise, without the liberty, without the freedom, without the ability to worship,
Yeah.
we are going to just head into the dustbin of history as
Yeah.
a once strong, God inspired nation,
Yeah.
uh, falling under the whims of truly what I think are a number of people under a mass psychosis and a very megalomaniac sort of mindset that, they've got the answers. Thou shalt have no God before the Democratic Party, or thou shalt have no God before Joe Biden, or
Mm,
not even him. That guy's a sock puppet. The people that are running him, they're the dangerous ones.
right. Who are the people that are really controlling it all? Great words, because it's very inspiring for everyone to be challenged. And what you did was really just a really nice challenge to everybody, that we really have to be the voice. We have to stand up. We have to know what's going on. Tell us about the chamber, because I want to make sure that if anyone is a small business owner, or knows a small business owner, that they know that there's an alternative now to the Chamber of Commerce. Is that would that be it? This is a way for us
That's
to. This is a new mission for you. And again, we talk about this all the time. We have to have a parallel societies, whether it's in education, whether it's in healthcare. We need a parallel society for small businesses where they have a voice, where they can love America, they can be true to the Constitution without bullying and without punishment. So tell us about the chamber and what you're providing for small businesses, Tom.
Yeah, thanks, Deb. Yeah, in Freedom Square, we noticed that we had our business directory that you could say, "Oh, let me find a pro-American business just by virtue of listing here." I think I know their sense of love and allegiance to America and its founding values. But we thought, you know what, with what's happening under the businesses and having been exposed to somewhat of a roller coaster of regulatory burdens,
Mm-hmm.
seeing friends or clients get attacked. Um, I had one client who actually was one of the 7 companies that sued the Obama administration about the abortifacient items within Obamacare,
Mm,
and they were personally attacked. They had picketers outside their home. They were being destroyed on social media, and they were also SEO and Planned Parenthood were trying to send in applicants to get hired by the company, to get inside the company to basically tear it down. So again, seeing all that, it's like, you know what? We're not going to get real far as a
mm,
business community, a pro-American business community, just watching the news.
right.
We need a place to unite, and to unite with a very specific purpose, mission, and support. The purpose is that when we rally and get together, we have power.
Right. There's
We
strength. There's strength in
there
numbers.
they're absolutely strength in numbers. And we talk about pushing back on the bullies.
Right.
That's how you do it. I mean, that's what Moms for America does.
Right.
You've built such a phenomenal network of moms across the country, and the fight they bring to their
Yeah.
local school boards, their town halls. They're just amazing. And I mean, met such champions in Dallas that was really just an honor. But so you're taking a segment of the community, which to me is the most important one. I was able to share a few words with the lunch group there at the Moms for America event. I said, even Jesus had a mom. I mean, we all need moms,
We sure do. We need
and he
those
had and he
mamas.
had a
Yeah.
great mom.
Yes,
But our our
absolutely.
our mission is to defend the American values and restore the American dream. And the
And
way that,
yeah, tell us how we do that with the chamber. Do they join it to the Freedom
yes,
Chamber? How do they do that? And what I guess services would kind of be a
there's
weird word for it, but what
well,
would
there
you
are
help them with?
you could call it services,
Okay.
programs.
Okay.
Usually, in like the U.S. Chamber, which they left the rails 25 years ago, when
Are
all of a
they
sudden
are they as bad as like the teachers union and all that? I mean, is it the same kind of thing where they've gone so woke you can't
they've
even
gone
figure out
they've
what?
gone they've gone so woke, and they've also, according to last year's tax returns, have been taking money from Soros.
Oh boy.
And we know Soros is he's got a track record that is not
Jeez. He's
not
everywhere, that
good.
guy. Yeah.
you
Okay.
know, and we've got other organizations, a lot of state chambers have gone woke. And so we said, you know what, that's sort of the model, because people understand a business person here is
Yeah.
chamber. They're like, yeah, I get it. It's this
Hmm.
group that's unifying to get better purchasing power. And
Yeah.
so we formed our group of co-founders are incredible. And that's what it took. I said, this is not something one person or one company can do alone. We have to unite to get this off the ground. And so we reached out to Salem Media, Epoch Times, Old Glory Bank, Liberation Technology, Remnant Health Nursing, Kimberly Overton. We just had Dr. Simone Gold Care uh, join us.
Nice.
1789 Capital. We have 24 co-founders, and they're all putting in Patriot Mobile. They're all putting in cost savings and incentives that a business owner can't get out there without joining in the membership.
Mm.
Freedom Square has put up $500 of free advertising in our platforms. Lit Media does a $750 web scan and SEO and social test, and it's $750 value. You get a report card to show you how your digital assets are performing,
Mm.
and that's between those two is $1,250, and the cost for the annual membership for a small business is $399.
Okay.
And if you're a medium-sized business, the cost of the annual membership is $399.
There you
And
go.
in addition to that, we have advocacy from Job Creators Network that's
Mm-hmm.
taking our voices to DC and state capitals.
Right. So you're going to kind of lobby for bills, legislation. You're going to really,
Yes.
right. A
Yeah.
new
And
voice coming into this discussion, which is wonderful because it's the Freedom Chamber.
yeah. And there's over 33 million tax IDs registered active in the US representing small and mid-sized companies.
Mm.
So we think typically business owners tend to be a little bit more independent to conservative. And we think, well, we should be able to get at least 1 million members.
Nice.
And could you imagine Alfredo Ortiz and going to DC and saying, hey, by the way,
Yeah.
read this, will you? This is 1 million companies
Yeah.
um,
I love that.
representing 15 million employees that say, no, we don't want this regulatory garbage, or we don't need this tax. And so that now becomes, so you're getting some value as a member. You're getting some truly, what we call the hard dollar values. You're also getting the representation. And the other thing is that the organization is run by the businesses, the co-founders,
Mm.
not administrative bureaucrats, which
Right.
typically is what leads these great organizations with a great
Off the
mission to
deep end.
start
Right.
off the deep end.
Exactly.
And then
Exactly.
we provide resources and tools. We just updated our releases regarding HR and legal, and
Mm.
it's crazy what's coming down the pike. It is. I saw these things and I said we need to get it. We need to get them up there today, so you can go in there
Yeah.
and you'll get resources like that. We also do forums and panels, and we do need to know segments in video, so businesses can learn things like, when should I get a board? Should I get it? When's a good time to get an in-house counsel versus an outside counsel?
Mm.
If I'm incorporating
All
a
of
new
these
business,
great.
what's a good
Yeah.
way to go? So
That's
it's
great.
providing the support mechanism for businesses, as well as successful businesses like our co-founders sharing their knowledge, their strength. And one of the most impactful things for me is seeing how Patriot Mobile is so unabashedly pro-American,
Mm.
pro-Christian, and pro-life.
Yes, they are one of our sponsors too, Patriot
Yeah,
Mobile.
they're
Yeah.
excellent
Yeah.
people. Glenn and Scott, they
We
and
do. We love
Stephen
them.
over there, Ryan, they are fantastic, and they show others that you can
We do it.
stand up, speak out, and push back.
Love it.
And we hope that when we gather now, we've only been open about 3 weeks, and we're up to 290 members. And our co-founders are now getting ready to reach out to their networks to invite them to join. I know
Nice.
Kimberly said she's going to do a little video for us, which
Yes.
we appreciate. And
Yeah.
we have Moms for America is one of our what we call one of our loves. We are going to continue to support Moms for America. We
Thank
do
you.
as Freedom Square, and we certainly will as Freedom Chamber.
Well,
Um,
thank you, Tom.
because
I
every businessman and woman has a
Right.
mom, and
That's right.
our potentially is a mom, and they need help right now.
Well, I'll tell you this. Do you know a lot of our moms have gone home? They've started their own businesses because they want to be able to homeschool, or a lot of people are able now to work at home. I think the whole world has changed, and it's so much easier to really start your own business, and live out the American dream. It's not that it's easy, but I think it's easier. So many things are at our fingertips, and a lot of our husbands may have small businesses. So the Freedom Chamber is a great resource and a great idea for our moms to pursue, check out. So what's the website, Tom?
Freedomchamber.net.
And
Freedomchamber.net.
all right, well, we can't forget that. And then what about Freedom Square? If they
Freedom
want
Square,
the
freedomsquare.com
Okay.
if they want to get news. And we also have an app in the Play stores. And what is I always get yelled at because I'm Android. I'm not Apple.
Me too. Me too.
I,
I'm Samsung, so I get it.
yeah, my team is always yelling at me. But I'll tell you, did I share with you that this is one of our co-founders? They're called Unplugged, and it's
Oh, you
a
know what?
new
I've heard of this. What's your take on it? This phone is not, yeah, it right, it doesn't follow everything. It doesn't know
right.
exactly what you're thinking. It's not tracing everything, correct? I've
It's
only
not
heard about
listening.
this.
It's
Not
not listening.
listening.
And I mean, there are some things. So I do all of my communications, work, and um, excuse me one second. All my work, my emails, my texts, things like that. I kept my old Android. When I'm in Wi-Fi, I could Google something or whatever. But this doesn't. I don't have any Google apps
Okay.
really in here. There, I operate on Brave for that, and it when I turn my location off, my location is off. And also, they have a kill switch on there when the power will disconnect the battery from the actual electronics of the phone, so it's very secure. And
Mm.
you give up a little bit of
Convenience, I think,
the
right?
convenience, but I'll tell you what, I'm okay with you
Yeah, maybe
know
that convenience is a problem for all of us because they are tracking everything
it,
and they are listening. I drives me crazy when I'm talking about something and then all of a sudden it's in my feed on Facebook. I'm like,
right.
how did you know this?
Or how about the CPP uh, for anybody who's got TikTok downloaded on their phone is scraping their contacts, their texts, their emails, their video. They've got all that. That's why
Yeah.
TikTok is so dangerous beyond just it poisoning the minds of kids and getting them hooked on attention.
Hmm.
It has some really deep, I think, national security threats that are
Yeah.
posed. And Facebook and Instagram do the same thing.
Right.
A
Yeah. I
lot of
guess
it,
it's
anyway.
right. At the end of the day, they've got all of our information, but uh, good news about that phone. I was curious if you liked it. Where do people get that at? Because now that we've talked about it, we should tell people where they can get.
Unplugged.com.
Okay.
Yeah, it's and I just got word. I'm in a beta on a beta phone, but I just got word last week that they are shipping their first 10,000 are on their way and will be available in the US, and you can go online and order and get one. And I tell you, I just feel so much better because we were driving to go see the solar eclipse, and we
Yeah.
were listening to Megan Kelly on Sirius satellite
Okay.
radio.
Uh-huh.
The next day, my wife said, "You would not believe all the stuff I got on Megan Kelly coming into my inbox, my Facebook, my Instagram." And I'm like, "Not me. I got nothing."
Not me. I'm all clear. Nobody's trying to tell me what I've listened to or what I should listen to. Oh, that is so funny. I mean,
Yeah.
we all can relate. We all can relate. Well, thanks, Tom. I mean, we've covered just about everything I can imagine
Yeah.
here, except your cool radio voice. I mean, that's the only thing we got to. I don't know. You
Well,
never
hey,
want.
fantastic. Thanks for bringing that up. But Debbie, to you and Kimberly, you
Yeah.
two are the best, and your team.
Yeah, they
You're,
are. They sure are.
I was talking with my guys who you know and love, Chuck and
Yes, I
Mike and
do.
Joe
Yes.
and Colin, and we were talking about how special that Dallas event was.
Oh, thank
Um,
you.
and I think you have found the secret sauce on how to get the message across. And the other thing that's important for people to know is that we all are in different stages or different parts of our in life, economy, and whatnot. Not all of us can take a week off and march on DC.
Hmm.
But what we can do is we can reach into our pockets and support those who can.
Yeah.
The work that Moms for America does, it is, to me, you, Moms for America and Turning Point USA, which I'm honored to serve, both organizations, are the best bang for the money in terms of impact and results and what you do. So,
Amen. Well, thank you. We are every day, moment by moment, trying to push back, empower our moms, and really, truly save our kids and save our country because I know this is what we're all doing. And it is a huge battle, but you know what? God blesses it. He gives us the strength every day, just like you guys are. And there's nothing like this network because we do inspire one another. And
yeah,
it's easier to fight if you know that you've got an army with you.
yes. And you do.
Yeah.
You have us.
Yes.
We're with you 100%.
Well, thanks, Tom. I appreciate your time. And yes, say hello to the guys out there at Freedom Square, the Freedom Chamber. And again, to our moms, please check out Freedom Square. And if you're a small business owner, join the chamber because their resources,
Freedomchamber.net.
freedomchamber.net, a great resource for our small businesses out there. All right. Thanks, boss.
Thanks, Deb.
Well, that was a great discussion with my friend Tom Sodeika, and I do love Freedom Square, Moms for America. We're fans of them in so many ways. So, thanks, guys. We appreciate all the work you're doing there, and of course, we were so excited to talk about Freedom Chamber. Alrighty, moms, I do want to remind you one last time to sign up for our newsletter. If you have not, if you're not signed up for a newsletter, would you go to momsforamerica.us, sign up there. Also, we have surveys, we have forms, we have information to help you on your journey. We really do say that we have everything from the kitchen table to Congress, what to do and how to do it. We have all different books and pamphlets available on the incredible topics that are facing us in this culture. So please go to momsforamerica.us and check out all of our resources. And while you're there, always check out the cottage meetings. That's 12 lessons that will inspire and educate you about America's great heritage. So you can share those principles of liberty in your home and in your community. So again, momsforamerica.us. We say this every week, moms, you are so important. You are the heartbeat of your home and truly the heartbeat of America. It begins and it ends with the moms. It's not that the dads aren't important. The dads are super important, but the moms have a special place in their home, raising and nurturing their children. So we say this every week. We change our world one home at a time. And I would love to see you again next week. And please like, share, subscribe, tell your friends about Moms for America. God bless.